You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete Signal Transmission Trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.
Hi, this is Jim from Safety Wars. Before we start the program, I want to make sure everyone understands that we often talk about OSHA and EPA citations, along with some other regulatory actions from other agencies, legal cases, and criminal activity. Everyone is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Proposed fines are exactly that, and they are often litigated, reduced, or vacated. We use available public records, news accounts, and press releases. We cannot warranty or guarantee the details of any of the stories we share, since we are not directly involved with these stories, at least not most of the time. Enjoy the show.
This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
And from OSHA Region 3, we are still here. A lot going on this past weekend. Could not get on the air. Or yesterday, it's kind of rough. Mondays are my rough days. How's everybody doing out there? Hopefully you have not been impacted by the shooting in New York City yesterday. We're going to be talking about that, and we're going to be going over some active shooter safety here from the FEMA Independent Study Program later in the show. I want to get through the news. There is a lot of news out there with this. Right, quick thing here, right? Hold on. How many All right. So, put all of this in perspective, right? And I think I'm not going to talk about the politics. So we get a little bit further down into all of this. Some more information comes out. I mean, that's going to be a special program. It's not going to be on this year's Safety FM. It's going to be on Rumble and Brighteon. Why? Because I tell you what, I'll probably get thrown off everything with that. And I'm not saying anything bad about anybody. It's just too controversial there. But we know, I think it's what I've been saying for years, and now finally the roosters have come home on this one, or the chickens have come to roost, whatever the saying is. We're being manipulated. We're being lied to on this stuff. Now, I Googled just now, just out of thing, right? According to AI Overview, here. This past weekend in Chicago, at least 18 people were shot, with one fatality, according to Chicago police. According to CBS Chicago, the weekend violence included a mass shooting on the west side where 4 people were shot. Another mass shooting on the south side also left 4 people injured. And there are a lot of people here in the talk radio sphere, the blogosphere, that always point this out, and they're trying to use this as a game of distraction. It comes across as, well, Chicago is bad, so therefore it's okay if something like happens in New York, like yesterday. That's not what my point is here. Far from it. Mass shootings are wrong, regardless where they are. Why is this one getting so much coverage? Right? 4 people killed, police officer killed. Tragic. Our hearts go out to everything. Well, we need to have some serious conversations here on the national level. And as we do know, and I'm not bragging, people in other producers from other radio shows listen to this show. So maybe we could get a national conversation on this. We know we're being manipulated. Look at all the political crap that's come out in the last 2 weeks with the 2016 and 2020 election. We know that, all right? I could go back further than that. We have shootings in Chicago every week and all over the rest of the country. And it's really only in a handful of counties that a lot of this stuff happens relative to everything. Why aren't they on the news every day? Why not? We have a shooting in New York, not to mitigate. I mean, this is horrific. We have a shooting in New York, and it's been nonstop. Why? A couple of reasons why. One, the news business is business. Right? Remember that. When you are going here and I'm looking to cover things on this show, and I know the Rated R Safety Show, Jay Allen's let me in on a little bit of info, how he collects info and everything and organizes things. Right? You want it easy, right? You want it easy. It's a resource. It's a natural resource. Think of it that way. The news. And if you look back, right, going way back to 2000, you had 8 years of Bill Clinton and Al Gore. When they went on vacation, where did they go? Exotic vacations. They went, right, Martha's Vineyard. They went, Europe. They went Korea. They went all over. They're really nice vacations. George Bush came in. Where did he go on vacation? Back to Texas. I forget the name of the town in Texas. Went up to Kennebunkport, right? Kennebunkport. I've been there many times. I vacationed in Kennebunkport way back in the day. Wonderful place, but it's not Martha's Vineyard. It's not an exotic location. And what was, now we got to go back, and everybody hated it because now all on the news, you can see they're all annoyed and everything else. They got to go in the middle of nowhere. They're having their press conferences in a high school auditorium and everything else. And then Barack Obama came in with Joe Biden again. Joe Biden had nice properties allegedly down in the Virgin Islands. Where the ships come in and they dock on the other side of the harbor was his house. At least that's not what our tour guide said. No, they had nice area. Trump goes to his nice properties again in Orlando, and it's easier, it's cheaper, it's nice, everybody right, positive versus that. When you talk about Jim, how do you get from shooting to vacation? When there's a mass shooting, it's news, right? But it's very easy. This happened in New York on Park Avenue in the middle of the action. What did all these reporters have to do? They had to take the subway, take a cab, take an Uber down there. Now they have something to do. All the experts are there. It's cheap, it's easy, and everything else. They don't have to actually go and do research on this. And now, all the high-end guests are at, New York, Chicago, L.A., right? All across. Now you got 3 or 4 hours of good programming on there. They could do that. It can make, right? And the other thing is, it is with that. So now they're playing this again and again and again, right? With this. And it seems that people have already made political hay over this on the gun laws and everything else. Then we'll talk about that more. My question is this. Here's the story. Here. And by the way, I'm going to say that I don't believe that a lot of this information is accurate because it came out like they had just something suspect when they came out with all this information within a couple of hours on this guy. Now, I'm not going to, I may inadvertently do it in covering this, but I'm not going to mention the person's name. This is from the Wall Street Journal. The gunman who killed 4 people in a Midtown Manhattan skyscraper accused the NFL in a suicide note of concealing the dangers of the sport on players' brains, according to New York City Police Department official. How did this all come out within like a couple of hours of this incident? The person used an AR-15 style rifle, what was originally reported as an M4, which is more or less a military weapon. I know that there's a civilian equivalent on that, but I'm a little bit out of date on my info on that. Used an AR-15 style rifle to kill an NYPD officer in the lobby of the building, as well as a security guard, an executive from Blackstone, a real estate firm employee, before shooting himself in the chest. Investigators recovered 3 pieces of paper from Tamura's wallet. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say his name. From the person's wallet that included a request that his brain be studied for chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Probably why he shot himself in the chest here. The disease is associated with head injuries that can be diagnosed conclusively after an autopsy. Police say the person who lived in Vegas and had a history of mental illness played football in high school. So they already got that too, a history. And they even had videos of him from 2015 on interviews here. Police say the person who had a mystery, quote from the letter, allegedly, the league knowingly concealed the dangers to our brains to maximize profits. They failed us. A spokesperson of the NFL referred the request for comment to the NYPD. Some of the other sources say there's no record of him playing in the NFL, only in high school. Right? And this, the building where the shooting took place, 345 Park Avenue, is the heart of Midtown Manhattan and has offices for the NFL, Blackstone Accounting, and accounting for KPMG, and a real estate management firm from the Rudin Management. And they're going on and on and on. And they have here a nice timeline, right? And they put together. How did all this stuff come out? That's my question. How did it all come out so quick? I'm not saying there's any malfeasance here, but my question is, how much of this stuff is going to be redacted or is going to be revised in the next couple of days? Because you already got people making political hay on that as of yesterday, in real time when the incident was happening, or shortly thereafter. I don't know. It's a question here. I think it's a legitimate question. Right? This from the New York Post. NYC shooter, apparent suicide note reveals he admired CT documentary and prominent neuroscientists, according to sources. The crazed gunman who killed 4 people on Monday thanked a documentary on CT brain injuries and listed off the names of several prominent neuroscientists in his parents' suicide note, sources told the Post. The person who claimed he suffered from CT had scrawled frontline documentary on one of the pages, an apparent reference to the League of Denial doc that probed the links between NFL and brain injury linked to head trauma. Going on and on and on. NYPD widens the investigation of the Midtown shooting as details emerge on the victims. This is from CNN. So they're going out. They have details here now. The victims, and may they rest in peace, and may their families hopefully achieve some type of closure on this. Right? The victims. Daidaru Islam, the 36-year-old New York Police Department officer, was a Bangladeshi immigrant hailed as a hero by city officials. He leaves behind 2 young sons and his wife, who is pregnant with their 3rd child. 8 months pregnant is what's being reported. Right. Julia Hyman, the associate at Rudin Management, the real estate firm that owns the Park Avenue building, according to Cornell University, where she graduated in 2020. Hyman was a Manhattan native and studied hotel restaurant administration in college, the university said. Wesley Lee Partner. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. The Blackstone employee leaves behind a husband and children, the investment firm said. The partner, who earned a bachelor's degree from Yale in 2003, worked as a senior managing director of real estate in New York, her Blackstone profile says. At this unbearably painful time, we are experiencing an enormous gaping hole in our hearts that will never be filled, yet we will carry on the remarkable legacy Wesley created, her family said. Alan Atin, the dedicated security officer who took his jobs extremely seriously, was killed in the shooting. His family said he was more than a brother. He was a father, a son, and a light in our lives. Right? Rudin, the company that owns the Park Avenue building, described Atin as a beloved, quote, a beloved lobby security guard. With this. So, what do we have to say on this? We can run through the hazard matrix and the hierarchy of controls, which is what we do as safety professionals. And we can say, well, if we eliminate the guns, therefore we're going to eliminate the problem. Right? That's one way of looking at this. My question is, there's a couple of questions here. And they might sound a little bit like the other wars that's out there, the other famous program. Might sound conspiratorial here. Some of the facts here, or some questions, facts, whatever we're going to go. Do you think that eliminating all the guns is going to eliminate all the problems here? If we could do that, not going to happen. Right? Not going to happen in this country the way things. But do you think that's really going to solve the problem? Here we have somebody, and I got into a discussion several years ago with a mental health professional who I know since I'm 4 years old. Actually, that's not true. Since I'm about 2.5 years old, where he had described that, hey, we do a very poor job because it's very difficult to identify, to predict any of this gun violence where someone's going to go off, right, with this, with these situations. Very difficult. So we have to work on the law and everything else. Okay, fair enough. My question is this: what's triggering these folks to do this? There's some psychologists out there stating, well, it's because he may feel persecuted somehow. And this is him lashing out. Maybe, I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not inside the guy's head. But something is triggering these people, and that's, I think, where we have to look. What is causing these people to all of a sudden go nuts here and start shooting things up? Mental health seems to be like a very easy thing to fix, a very easy thing to describe. Unless you have a family member, you work with the mentally ill, you are mentally ill, extremely difficult to explain to people the situation. And it's unfortunately something you have to experience here to try to even get a handle on this. So any of these suggestions from these people, well-intentioned, they may think that they're helping things, but really they're not with this. My opinion, one man's opinion. Number two. So that's all, right? Right? There's got to be a question. Apparently in Nevada, relatively easy to get a concealed carry permit. Why did he have this when he had a history of mental illness? Number three. The man worked as an armed security guard, allegedly. That's what's alleged to go on at a casino or something in Las Vegas, allegedly. They don't do background checks? Really? They don't check out, no interviews, no that. Because I tell you what, to go work on certain projects that I work on, you have to go through a psychological evaluation. If you go on popular dating websites that are legitimate, I'm not talking where it's a free-for-all, you literally have to, and they have you, this one in particular, I met my wife on, they have you go through scores of questions. And part of that is it's built in there to determine whether you are compatible with anyone, yeah, but to determine whether you're a little bit mentally ill or you have psychological issues. I've known of two people, right, at the time, this was 2009, where they actually identified someone's family member was on there, and they identified she got rejected from eHarmony because her questions were not adding up, we'll say. So, I mean, they can't do something like this. Come up with a questionnaire, okay? Or maybe, I know in New York, you go for a concealed weapons permit. Guess what? You're going for an interview with your doctor. They will contact your doctor. They will do a medical background. What's going on here, Nevada? So what's safety? Safety is presence of controls and, right? Presence of controls, capacity, and resilience. Well, it seems to me that we have to have more capacity in here, right? And we're going to work on the resilience part in a couple minutes with active shooter training from the FEMA Independent Study Institute. Let me go now into the news. We're going to take a brief commercial break, and we'll get back to you. Sorry if lead feather ruffler. I'm going to ruffle some feathers here with that. And how does this apply to your workforce? Your workplace is a question also.
Safety Wars is streaming now.
SafetyFM.com.
Have you listened or watched the Safety War show? It does stream live on the radio and on the streamer-emers that we have. So if you have not taken a listen to Jim Posel and what the hell he's doing every evening with Safety Wars, I would strongly encourage you to take a view or take a listen, whichever option is available for you, and take a listen to what the hell he has going on. It will take some deep dives in some information that you might be interested in.
In the professional safety community, communication and planning are just a few keys to your program's success. The question many practitioners have is, where do I start? Dr. Jay Allen, the creator of the Safety FM platform and host of the Rated R Safety Show, has built a global foundation to help you along the way. Go to safetyfm.com and listen to some of the industry's best and most involved professionals, including Blaine Hoffman with the Safety Pro, Sam Goodman with the Hop Nerd, Sheldon Primus with the Safety Consultant, Jim Pozell with Safety Wars, Emily Elrod with Unapologetically Bold, and many others. As individuals, we can do great things, but as a team, we become amazing. Dial into safetyfm.com today and surround yourself with a powerful force of knowledge and support.
The safety war has begun. The risks are out there, lurking in every corner of the workplace, threatening our most valuable asset, our people. But we have a plan. Led by Jim Pozell, we are the last line of defense in this battle against danger and negligence. We will fight for safety, for compliance, for the right of every worker to return home unscathed. Join us on this journey through the unknown, where vigilance is our weapon and knowledge is our shield. This is Safety Wars, our fight, our duty, our mission. Heard regularly on your favorite podcast platform as Safety Wars? Visit us at safetywars.com.
So we have some EPA news here. The U.S. Chemical Safety Hazard Board, CSV, today commended the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency for taking enforcement action against Pacific Gas and Electric Company. Know what? I should share this. Here, let's go. Enforcement action. Against Pacific Gas and Electric Corporation, PG&E, for failing to comply with CSV's accidental release reporting rule, a critical requirement under Section 112R of the Federal Clean Air Act. The action follows a serious natural gas release back in 2023 in San Jose, California, and seriously injured an employee. Under the reporting rule, owners and operators of facilities that experience an accidental release resulting in fatality, serious injury, or substantial property damage must report the incident to the CSV. There's something that you could do if you are a OSHA trainer. The Clean Air Act gives EPA the authority to enforce a failure to report an accident release to the CSV. Not only do you have to report a fatality to OSHA, bookmark this, you also have to report it to the CSV, possibly if it's from a chemical release. Despite, and also the other thing, fatality, serious injury, or substantial property damage. Right? So something to bookmark here. Despite being advised to the CSV that the company was required to report the release, PG&E failed to submit a report to the CSV following the June 2023 incident as provided by the Clean Air Act. So they were referred to the EPA for enforcement. And this settlement, and we have a copy of the settlement here. All right. So what is the settlement? Now we have it right here. Again, I like it when I try to make it easy. Right. And here is the civil penalty. $45,273 for the violation alleged in the matter. Within 30 days of final or after the date, right, of the final order ratifying this agreement is filed with the Clerk of Environmental Appeals Board. Right, so basically it looks like they have 30 days to appeal here. With that, they go into interest, right? For the purposes of this proceeding, the respondent, right, for the purposes of the right terms of settlement, A, they admit that the jurisdictional allegations in the CAFO neither admits nor denies the other allegations set forth herein, consents to the assessment of civil penalty as stated below, 45 grand and change, consents to the issuance of any specified compliance or corrective action order, consents to the conditions specified in this consent agreement, and consents to any stated permit action, and waives any right to contest the allegations set forth herein, and waives its rights to appeal. Right? And this is all basically the same thing. Basically, that's it. You're agreeing to this, and it's going to be over. Other matters. Right. The respondent and claimant agreed to settle this matter without necessity of a formal hearing. So that's on that. Right. So we're going to go back here to this. All right. So one of the things when this stuff happens, right, I go on over to the IS 907 active shooter, what you can do thing, right? Now, FEMA has an independent study institute that I recommend everybody to go to. Why? Because if it is free, it is for me. And I'm trying to get this to zoom in a little. Hold on. Okay. All right, here we go. And here is the transcript. So FEMA has an independent study institute. You could Google that. And it has, I believe, 187 courses, something like that, that are free. You can choose from. And you can get CEUs or assessed with this. Right, so you're able to, with the older ones that are still up there, they have PowerPoint presentations. With the newer ones, they don't have that. They want you to be in there because dealing with things. So, course description. Please note several updates have been made to this course. Recommend that you review the contents of the course and look over updated materials. If you already passed the exam for this course, you are not required to complete the exam again in order to be current. Okay, great. Updated in 2004. Right? So, voiceover script. Active shooter incidents can happen in any location with virtually any setting vulnerable to this random and senseless violence. They can happen where we work, live, shop, and where we heal, learn, and worship. Right? So this is what you could do. Active shooter incidents are unpredictable and evolve rapidly. Here's some, and I'm going to add some stuff in here, especially in the workplace, it's not your coworker you necessarily have to worry about. It is the people that your coworker may associate with, whether that's a family member, girlfriend, spouse, husband, boyfriend, anything like that come in. And as what happened yesterday, I mean, this gentleman, if we call him that, did not have any known, at this point, business in that building. Came from outside. So here's the question here with that. This is what happened. What the question is does your organization know what to do in an active shooter drill? What are those? Good question there here. Right? Individuals trained to respond are better equipped to overcome the initial shock. So you just going and thinking about and listening to the show and sharing the show are much more likely to survive one of these situations and respond successfully with that. So for example, there's a book out there by Amanda Ridley called The Unthinkable. I highly suggest you do it. Who lives and who survives in a disaster. And just talking about this stuff and thinking about it, making it part of your scuttlebutt or water cooler conversations might be a good thing with that. Don't do what one person organization I know did, that where they took over a conference call that had nothing to do with the situation and had a meltdown in front of like 50 people on the conference call. Probably not the best approach. Right? So we're going to go on through here. Right? And again, right? Right, with that. Active shooter definition. Slide 3. Defines the active shooter. Introduces a hyperlink for a weapon sign in there. Voiceover script. That's what we want. An active shooter, sometimes referred to an active assailant or active killer, is defined by the FBI as an individual actively engaged in killing or attempting to kill people in a populated area. An active shooter can be a stranger, someone you know, a coworker, also known as an insider threat, a family member, a member of the community, or a longtime customer or patron. In most cases, active shooters use firearms. However, perpetrator, you know what I mean, people can and do use other weapons in addition to firearms to commit their attacks. Again, I could go through here, but I don't want to go and give people ideas. But I can think of some ideas here because I read this stuff. So what are we talking about? Blades, explosives or improvised explosive devices, blunt objects, fire or improvised incendiary weapons such as ignited lighter fluid, gasoline, kerosene lamps, and Molotov cocktails, motorized vehicles for ramming such as trucks and cars. Right? Insider threats incidents are possible in any type of business or organization. Insiders are those entrusted with access to the organization who then use that trusted access to harm the organization. In the context of this course, the primary concern is workplace violence. To combat insider threat, organizations can implement a proactive prevention-focused mitigation program to detect and identify targeted violence threats. Right? And then, although rare, active shooter incidents are increasing in frequency, and they can occur at any time. If we run overtime, we are going to, this is all going to be available on the podcast and on the video. On the video stream here. All right. Most active shooter situations occur suddenly and evolve quickly. The majority of incidents end before law enforcement arrives, making individual response decisions a high priority. Active shooters typically do not have a pattern or method of selecting their victims. It is widely understood that there is no profile for an active shooter, and that an active shooter incidents are rarely sudden, impulsive acts. Most who resort to violence exhibit warning signs or behaviors before they commit a violent act. So if someone is exhibiting this stuff, if you see something, say something. A person considering violence may disclose their plans to others, and what they say and their feelings are through their actions and behaviors. Families, friends, co-workers, peers, neighbors, or fellow community members, among others, may observe these signs or behaviors and can report them to proper authorities for a risk or threat assessment. If you find yourself involved in an active shooter incident, survival will depend on your awareness, preparedness, and immediate actions. Because of this, every person must remain aware of their surroundings. Notice the warning signs of an active shooter and be prepared both mentally and physically to act. And they include some photos here. With that, they have a knowledge thing. But module 3, right? Run, hide, fight. Right? And now, other thing, avoid, barricade, confront. The Department of Homeland Security and Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security agencies support the run, hide, fight methodology when confronted with an active shooter situation. However, other response paradigms do exist. Avoid, barricade, confront, often used in hospitals, and avoid, deny, and defend, often used in K-12 schools. Regardless of the method used, an organization should identify and train personnel to become proficient with the identified response procedures. For the purposes of this course, run, hide, fight model will be further explained. Right, so, okay, I'm telling us what you're going to do, right? Active shooter situations can develop quickly, so you must be prepared to act when one presents itself. The Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Agency goes on and on and on, right? The run, hide, fight methodology is a continuum of response actions used in response to an active shooter situation. Individuals should decide which responses they make based on their location relative to the assailant, and then reassess as the incident progresses. So I am a situational awareness trainer. I've been trained in that. With this, Alan Warford also is on our network, is another one. And I believe there's one more that's for that, where we go over this stuff. For example, a person may have to hide first, wait for the assailant to clear the area, and then run. Some instances, the best decision may be hide in a locked room in a place where the shooter cannot see you or hear you. That's what was on the internet yesterday with people barricading themselves in places. In some cases, when running or hiding are not an option, it might be appropriate to fight in order to disrupt the assailant plans. Regardless of the choice, rely on your own judgment and fully commit to your action. That's the big thing. Fully commit to your action. Regardless of what it's going to be, fully commit to it. Half-hearted measures rarely are successful with this. Right? Run, right? Well, I think that's pretty self-explanatory. But again, you have to have this planned out ahead of time. Where are you going to run to with that? Hide. So some of the things, right? Find a place to hide which does not trap you, will protect you from projectiles, and have a lockable door if available. Again, it may not be available. Turn off all sources of light or noise. Lock and blockade the door with heavy furniture if possible. Hide behind large items. Silence your cell phone and remain quiet. Do not put your location on social media. Identify items that can be used as improvised weapons for you to defend yourself. Move, but only when safe to do so. Contact 911 when safe to do so. Right? If you cannot speak, leave the line open to allow the dispatcher to listen. Consider the difference between cover and concealment. Cover may protect from gunfire, and concealment will merely hide you from the view of the shooter. Choose the best space that's available quickly. If running or hiding are not safe options, again, this is the official FEMA training here we're going over. If running or hiding are not safe options where you are directly confronted by an assailant, then defend yourself. Try to either disrupt or incapacitate the assailant, whichever you may do, right? So today on the news, there's a guy screaming and yelling that he's going to blow up a plane. Passengers took matters into their own hands immediately on that, or relatively immediately, about 30 seconds. Fight until, whatever you decide to do, commit to your action. Your goal is to incapacitate the attacker. Fight until the threat is neutralized. What do? Act aggressively and decisively. Throw items at the person. Chairs, phones, fire extinguishers. Improvised weapons, scissors, fire extinguishers, binders. Yell and scream. Work as a group to incapacitate the assailant, and contact 911 when safe to do so. Right? So if you are a manager or supervisor, make sure, and this is an OSHA requirement, by the way, you have to have an emergency action plan for this. So my question to you, right, if you want to be constructive about this stuff, which I encourage everybody to be constructive, you go to your manager tomorrow and you ask him or her or your human resources, are we prepared for this? What is our plan, folks? And if they say they ain't got one, now you have a problem. One of the things that gets me annoyed here is, I go, and I'm not going to mention the places. No weapons allowed. Okay, that's a good policy then. No weapons allowed. But have you taken measures, right, to like training, like we're discussing here? Have you a security guard? Do you do background checks? Do you no illegal drug tests? Something to check out your employees upon hiring or upon managing them. Do you have an employee that goes around threatening to kill people and you don't fire them? Been on jobs where that's happened. Oh, yeah, Joe went out there and did X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 blah. Oh, yeah, I was expecting something like that. Oh, you were? Oh, well, then why didn't you say something? And again, and if you are a company that have people in that situation, it gets reported, what do you do with it? How many times do we go into workplaces and, we don't have a plan. It's emergency action. Well, ask your employer. Getting help for an active shooter situation is a top priority. In some cases, the assailant may not stop killing until law enforcement arrives or intervenes. When it's safe to do so, call 911. Right? With that. And, again, know what's your location, what's your situation, what's the threat, the number of shooters, their physical descriptions. I'm going to call out CNN here with this. Well, why is that? Well, because they had a picture of the person allegedly doing this, and they described them as something totally different. Again, you're being manipulated. I remember with Mayor Bloomberg, when a situation like this happened, right? Mayor Bloomberg, I couldn't find the press conference. He went and he blamed the whole situation on every political opponent that he had, every issue that he was involved in. Oh, yeah. Maybe we got to do a better job of finding that, right? Mayor Bloomberg. Let me type that down. Write that down. Mayor Bloomberg in New York. All right. He went and basically blamed all of his political opponents for this. I don't know, maybe he's a smart politician, right? Became a billionaire somehow. Right? While the run, hunt, hide, and fight methodology is an appropriate technique for responding to an active shooter situation, some people may not be able to do that for a variety of reasons. Children, right? Mobility, people who are disabled somehow, handicapped, right? People who are blind, have low vision, have limited English proficiency, who are non-English speaking, individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing, have cognitive or intellectual disabilities, visitors and patrons of business or organization may need assistance in locating the exits. Again, you go to a facility, know where your things are. I mean, I shared way back in the day, before we did the 1 hour format here. Well, I had a situation where a building was on fire and the person refused to leave the building, leave the work area because he said, I don't listen to safety people. So you're going to burn to death? Rather, yeah. I'm not listening to you. And they had to send up firefighters to get the guy. Right? As stated previously, communication is key to assisting those with a disability or access and functional need during an emergency. Communicating using your voice and hand gestures can help maintain the individual's safety, independence, and health, and may be crucial for their survival. Recently, one of the projects I worked on about a year ago, we had a guy who made believe he didn't speak English. There are people like that. He spoke perfect English, it turns out. Another guy who I couldn't speak English at the employment for 25 years. Then one day he had a bad day and he forgot. He decided we had a conversation in English. And it could go the other way around. If you don't speak the language of the workforce, could happen. That happens. Cognitively impaired people, that's another one. Mental or behavioral health impacted people. And Module 4, until help arrives. Voiceover talks while video plays someone calling 911. Okay, that's great. Maybe we'll do a whole video of this. In any emergency, first responders are not seconds but minutes away. This was written in 2024? Wow. In those critical minutes, those affected will need to stay calm, make decisions, and render assistance, including providing immediate reporting to 911. And I'm going to say this much. Law enforcement's priority is to stop the shooting, not to help you. And I'm not saying anything against, right? I'm not saying anything against law enforcement. So if you're in this situation, law enforcement's priority is not to help you. It is to end the situation and then help you. Way it is. Right? We could do a Uvalde shooting thing here, right? The time it takes for police, fire, EMS to arrive at an incident location or for medical assistance can be affected by multiple factors, including dispatch time, the route first responder's mistake to the incident location, deployment to, accessibility of the incident, and whether your assailant is still actively harming others. During this time, those who have been injured and are actively bleeding require intervention by people at the scene. Again, first aid CPR course. We offer it here, 845-269-5772. A person with life-threatening bleeding can die from blood loss within 5 minutes. With every incident, while every incident is unique, there are several processes common to every situation. The time it takes for affected person to recognize what's happening, the time it takes to process emergency reports, and the time it takes for first responders to arrive on scene. All this stuff takes time, pre-planning. Right? And then they have stop the bleed here and knowledge check. We're running out of time. When help arrives, when law enforcement help arrives, their focus during an active shooter, and what I just said, is to stop the threat. This means responding officers will attempt to locate and stop the shooter. Officers will bypass injured victims because their singular focus on stop the killing. Here. Law enforcement priorities, basically this is what it is. Find and stop the shooter. Again, this is what happened in the Uvalde case. We had multiple jurisdictions and nobody was in charge. That's why you have to get have that all arranged ahead of time and have everybody trained in the incident command, which is IS 700. Here. Right? With that. We recommend you follow these straightforward suggestions when dealing with law enforcement. Remain calm. Yeah, how the hell are you going to remain calm in this situation? Follow all instructions from law enforcement officers. Number 1, if you have something in your hand, slowly put the item down or items down. Raise your hands, spread your fingers, and always keep your hands visible. Avoid screaming and yelling. Do not point. Do not grab the officers. Most importantly, do not ask the officers questions or for help. EMS. Right? What can you do? Right? When emergency medical personnel arrive. If you are injured but can walk to the nearest emergency medical service provider and ask for help. If you're injured when unable to walk, stay calm, try to stop any bleeding, and be patient. Right? Once you are clear of the incident scene, either from evacuation or at the direction of law enforcement, report to your designated assembly point if you're at your place of business. Again, this wasn't done in Uvalde. Here, right, with that school shooting. Again, you have to have training. Your local emergency responders or your organization has to have training, has got to have plans, has got to have a plan in place here with this. And, of course, at the end, assess your mental, I haven't everything's done, assess your mental and physical health. Ask for help right away. If you are injured, seek additional care or grief counseling as necessary. Become familiar with available mental health services and resources because it may take days, weeks, or months to mentally process what occurred. Coordinate with law enforcement. Law enforcement will need to identify and interview potential witnesses and gather evidence. Be patient and tell law enforcement what you know, saw, or heard. Law enforcement will discuss reunification agreements with you as soon as possible. And law enforcement will let you know when or if you can retrieve your personal belongings from the incident location. Be aware that some personal possessions may be collected and treated as evidence. With that, recovery. It's a continuous process. I have people who I know who are not recovered from 9/11, and that was 24 years ago. With that, and you could go with that. There's other resources here. Right. So basically, what you need to do, this is in Recognize, Assess, and Report. This is a new information here. Although the likelihood of you experiencing an active shooter event is low, they are devastating when they do happen. For this reason, it's imperative that everyone does their part to try to prevent an active shooter event. Warning signs. So you have about 8 minutes here. Right? Being able to assess, right? So here we have researchers of active shooters describe an evolution from grievance to violent action as a pathway. At each step along the pathway, an individual can display behaviors that can be observed and assessed to determine if that individual is moving towards an act of violence. Grievance. Often the first step along the pathway is a feeling of resentment over being wronged or treated unfairly. Violent ideation. You have violent ideas, right? This could be talking about homicide, suicide, making declarative writings such as manifesto, research and planning. I know somebody who was teaching the disaster response worker outreach program. They started doing research online. Before you know it, the next day, the feds were at his front door knocking on the door. What are you researching? Pre-attack preparation, probing and breaching, is the act of determining if the plan is workable. Surveillance on areas, testing, probing, things of that nature. Pre-attack preparation, and that includes, right, warn their friends or family, give away personal protections, or prepare a will. Attack is the final step on the pathway here. Well, and, of course, let's click on thing, and nothing happens. They give you these links, and they don't work on this. So let's zoom on down to where we were. Again, with this, it's all about preparation. Rather a much longer course than what it used to be. Again, preparing for an active shooter event is important to the individual, organization, community level. For individuals, a personal emergency plan is the kind that you create and includes descriptions of the best possible evacuation route from your working location to safe areas. So if your employer is not doing this crap, it's imperative that you actually do it for yourself. It may include a description of areas where you can hide and objects that you can use as improvised weapons if you must fight, as well as locations of fire extinguishers and first aid kits in the event you need to render aid. It also includes a list of emergency contacts or people that you or others can call in the event of an emergency. Have your own personal plan. If you are a manager or supervisor, right, plan out for your organization. Right? Use effective. The right words can be a powerful tool. Simply saying hello can prompt a casual conversation with the unknown individuals and help you determine why they are there. The oh no approach. Observe, initiate, and hello, navigate the risk and obtain help. Helps employees detect, assess, mitigate, and obtain help for potential suspicious people and activities. Power of hello approach. Right? These activity, approach describes activities and behaviors that may be suspicious or indicative of criminal activity. These activities may be constitutionally protected and should be reported only when there are articulable facts to support national conclusion the behavior is suspicious. Do not report based solely on protected activities, race, religion, gender, sexual orientation, or a combination of everything. So this is the power of hello. They give you a link, and that link doesn't work. And we could go into all that stuff, and there's different ways. Again, take the course. It's worth it. I'll probably put it into my own overheads. We could do that also. That's all we got for tonight. And, we got a lot more stories. We may record for tomorrow, today, and make an hour or two. We'll see. For Safety Wars, this is Jim Posel. We will see you tomorrow night, God willing. And we'll go. We'll see you tomorrow night, God willing.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.
You got into the safety business because you wanted to protect people, but somewhere along the way, the job started controlling your time, your schedule, your priorities, even your income potential. What if the expertise you've built over the years in the field can give you something more? More freedom, more control, more ownership of your future. I'm Sheldon Primus, the author of 7 Steps to Starting a Profitable Safety Consulting Business and the host of the Safety Consultant Podcast, with more than 350 episodes helping safety professionals become consultants and grow their career. Consulting changed my life. In fact, I'm a full-time RVer, and one consulting contract paid for my home I live in today. Now, I help safety professionals build their own consulting practice through bi-weekly coaching calls, accountability, and personal guidance. But this program isn't for everyone. Start with the Consultant Readiness Audit at sheldon.coach.
What if everything we thought we knew about safety was just interference? From the host of the Rated R Safety Show and the founder of Safety FM comes the complete signal transmission trilogy, now available in one powerful edition. Safety, in my opinion, the book that started the conversation. Safety Mutation, where the boundaries of culture, systems, and belief begin to break. And now, Safety Transmission, the final piece of the signal. For the first time, all 3 books are together in one volume. The Signal Transmission Trilogy, Complete Edition. This isn't just about compliance. It's about consciousness. It's about decoding the way we think, lead, and live, inside and outside the system. Whether you've been following the signal since the beginning or you're just now tuning in, this is the version to own. Search Signal Trilogy on Amazon or visit safetyfm.com to get your copy now.